to what's going on and the way things are headed. So it was something that I wanted to explore. And I've never had like a full grasp or understanding on the whole social media thing.
Here with Real Talker. I am talking to the men behind Infamous, Joshua Caldwell, the writer-director, and Jake Manley, one of the stars of the film. So I wanted to say hi to you guys. You guys are clearly enjoying some little bit of time off and trying to get back to reality, right? As more we open up.
Yeah, exactly. Waiting for the next shutdown, basically.
Well, that could happen too, because things aren't totally in the clear, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But people are acting. I'm in Chicago, so everyone's just like on the streets as if nothing happened.
Right. Chicago strong.
Well, yeah, that's sometimes. It depends
Yeah.
out. But I saw Jake's got a cool view. I actually have a decent view too myself, guys. I'm at my sister's crib. This is like overlooking the Lake Michigan. So,
there you go. Nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all.
Got some
yeah, I'm at the John Hancock building, so it's one of the premier cool buildings in the city.
That's awesome.
Well, wanted to start off with the movie, man. I saw it, a lot of fun, and you know what, Josh? I'm surprised how many messages you can pluck away from this movie. Sort of like it's a reflection on society. Now that we're kind of been in this like stay-at-home order, man, you think about all the stuff that in the industry, how social media takes over. It gives you a perspective of what was going on. Wanted to ask you, what was your kind of inspiration, because you wrote it and directed, for this movie? Any sort of thing that came up that gave you these ideas that you wanted to put it together? Because got some definitely messages coming through in it. Tell me, what was your approach and kind of the idea to come up with this movie?
Yeah, years ago, I'd seen a photo of this young, good-looking couple being arrested by the LAPD, and she was kind of looking at the guy seductively as they were being led away in handcuffs. And, I just was like, it's kind of like a modern Bonnie and Clyde. Like, what would that, what would that be? And as I started thinking about my next project, I was interested in doing a heist movie. And as I start researching heists and bank robberies and all that kind of stuff, you inevitably come upon Bonnie and Clyde. And because I tend to really gravitate towards female-driven material, I was like, oh, that'd be interesting. Like this kind of, what if Bonnie was really the leader, right? And really the instigator. And then also, what would that look like modern day? And if you really look at Bonnie and Clyde, the myth of Bonnie and Clyde was built by media trying to sell newspapers, the sensationalism of it. And so you sort of go, well, what's that modern version? And I think it's social media. Obviously there are movies done in the past about, television, but television doesn't have the same power that social media does nowadays. And I just thought that would be a really fun thing to explore. That sort of the intersection of social media and that desire and pursuit of likes and follows with good old fashioned American violence and crime, which we all love.
No question. You got that in it. Jake, what was your first impression when you got the script, when you heard about the movie? What were your kind of immediate thoughts coming to mind?
I thought it was really interesting. I was like, this is something that is very relevant to what's going on and the way things are headed. So it was something that I wanted to explore. And I've never had like a full grasp or understanding on the whole social media thing. Like I could have never done the Ariel character, that's like something like Bella is perfect for it. But that's why I think Dean felt like a good fit to me, because he didn't get it, and he's trying to understand why people are so enamored by this, and I've always kind of felt that way myself. So I thought this was like a fun vehicle to explore that, and I loved all the other elements, like besides the social media, like the action of it and the car chases and everything like that. And then after just talking to Bella and what she wanted to do with it and Josh, I was like, this would be a lot of fun. So
yeah, I was going to ask both of you, what sort of collaboration you guys had, because this is definitely a story between pretty much two characters throughout. And this question for both of you: how much freedom did you have to kind of improvise and let things loose, versus you and Bella, Jake, had conversations, what you wanted to do? And Josh, how did you kind of approach there? Because it's basically them. You're basically in a front seat of their journey throughout. What was kind of the approach of making it feel as lifelike and kind of personal as it was?
You want to go first, Jake, or you want me to hit it?
Oh, you can start.
Yeah, no,
I'll go.
I was. All right, you go ahead.
I'll tell. Okay, so well, I mean, for me, it's super collaborative. I mean, I'm a writer director who doesn't, I'm not married to my own words. And to me, what the work that you do ahead of time is about figuring out who these characters are, right? You have a lot of discussions about what do they want to do, what are they looking for, what's in the script, what's not in the script, let's build this character out, because then by the time we get on set, hopefully, uh, the actors aren't acting. They're able to exist as the character, and then that way, if they have an instinct to improvise or say a line or make a movement or do something that we wouldn't have expected or could even have directed, they're free to do it because they know the character so well that really there's no wrong that can be done. There's good and there's better, but there's no wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so it really, hopefully, in my mind, it gave them a lot of freedom to exist as the character. And then that also extended into the way that we shot it, which was I operated the camera 99% of the time.
Wow.
And as a result, what we tried to do was create an environment where the actors are free to move and engage and do whatever they want to do, because I will follow them. Like, I will know to follow them. And if I fuck up a take, they can't get mad at me because I'm the director. But at the same time, like, it becomes a dance, and it becomes a way in which I, as a director with the camera on my shoulder, engage with the actors and what they're doing. And they know they have freedom to explore and try things and come up with ideas and bring new things to the table.
Interesting. Jake, now, what was your kind of approach to it?
Yeah, I think Josh hit the nail on the head. Like, we did all the work in the prep so that we could relax and exist in those characters when we got there. And I think we spent a fair amount of time being able to play around with improv and make use of the time we had. Like, Josh would just grab the camera and be, Bella, Jake, let's like go over in this field. Let's go over here and have a conversation. Like, this is what's going on. And so we're just able to drop right into it and live in it. And because he was following us, there wasn't a lot of rigorous blocking that we had to abide by, which was super freeing as an actor. And another thing I'd say is, like, we did so many of those long takes, so we were able to just stay in this without hearing cut every 20-30 seconds and waiting for everything to reset. We were just able to just live in that moment in the story, and then the instincts just kind of take over, and you just got to trust that they're there. But I think that's part of why it helped Bella and I's chemistry, like, for sure. And I think it helped, I think it just helps the film along, like, all the naturalism of that. So I love working that way.
Now, Josh, I wanted to ask you, because you're casting here mainly the two leads. It's such an important casting to do because you need to get them right. Because if you don't, the whole movie spirals out in a different way. How important was the approach of these characters? Because you had written them. Did you envision them kind of prior, or did you know maybe Jake was someone and Bella someone you wanted to as you were writing, or did the casting process change your mind when you kind of got to audition them, where it altered your perception vision of these characters?
Well, Jake didn't audition. I wanted him to, but he refused. And no, well, from the beginning, my head was in this world where, I initially did think of Bella as somebody for this, because I felt that anybody coming into this, I mean, it's a very unsympathetic, unlikable character, and you
Right.
want to think, well, who's going to play that, right? Who's not self-conscious about their image in a way that is going to allow them to want to deep dive into this. And Bella was somebody on my list from the beginning who I then kind of forgot about because I didn't think I was going to get her. And then she came on board through a connection that one of our producers had to her manager, and she loved it. And she got the character and she got the movie and she knew what it was going to be. And so, that was very exciting because that allowed us to then try and go get financing and get the movie made. When it came to Dean, Dean, to me, you wanted this guy that was both sort of all-American, kind of dirty all-American, I guess, but also thoughtful, in the way that
he's rational. He's the kind of the rational one.
Right. I mean, in the way that Ariel is not, and so you have to find somebody that's got some ability to project depth. And Jake came to us, as somebody who, could play the role. I think we even like went out to him and he couldn't do it because of our schedule. And then we pushed, we had to move. And we heard that Jake was like, I'd really like to play this. And he came begging to me for it, really, was what it came down to. And no, I mean, he was somebody we went after. He was somebody who was brought up to us. I'd seen the order, and it felt like I also really liked his look, like the eyes and everything that kind of, was unique to me. And it was also then, once he was on board, it was really exciting because ultimately at the end of the day, it was Jake's idea to dye his hair. He
I was just going to ask you, where did that come from?
He texted me one day. I wasn't going to ask him to do it because I also knew he was going into his other show, like we had a very small window to shoot this of availability between Bella and Jake. And so I was like, oh, he's probably not going to want to do the hair because he's got to go into the next show. And he texted me out of the blue. He's like, I was thinking of maybe dyeing it blonde. And I'm like, dude, go for it. Let's show it to me when you're done. And now I can't not see Jake as a blonde.
It fits the criteria. I'd imagine someone like in the woods of Florida, probably would have that sort of hair. I mean, that was just a great call, Jake. But what was the kind of the thinking behind it for you to just dye the hair and give you that look? Because I thought it was perfect, literally.
I mean, to me, this character was like a great departure for me, and so I wanted to lean into that. And I think like just in the style and the tone of the film, like we have these kind of hyper visuals almost, and I just thought it would work well for this character. Like this guy's trying to be a bit edgy. He's trying, like, he's my profile, my physicality isn't all that like menacing and intimidating. So, here's a guy that's come out of the prison system and he's going to do whatever it takes, like whether it's growing really crappy facial hair or, dyeing his hair to get the edge. So I just saw it as like a bit of an edge. And then Josh was like, yeah, let's run with that. So, but we were like in constant dialogue leading up to the film. Like we were always hopping on calls, and I was working on a different film and he was prepping, doing location scouts and stuff. And it was great. We were always jumping on like Skype calls and constantly talking about, look, physicality.
We put Jake in touch with an ex-con who had, spent time in prison as a young guy, like 18 to 20 years old, and like his experience coming out of it and what that was like and the way he saw the world, having spent about 2 years in prison, which is the equivalent of Jake's character. And so Jake got to talk to him and got to get that mindset. And, we did not a lot. I wanted to do a lot more, but we got to do like a full day of weapons training with these great guys out of Oklahoma. And this former Army guy, Army Special Forces guy I know named Travis Donaldson and his team out of the guys of Oklahoma who, put the gun in the hands of Jake and Bella and Mike Sereau, played Kyle, just to get them to that place of saying, this is what it is, man. Like, this is how you do it. This is how you hold it. Because, I wanted that authenticity to it. I wanted that naturalism that came out of somebody who knows how to use a weapon.
To feel like lived in, myself, I hadn't worked with weapons a lot in that capacity. So having that feeling of just being comfortable with it, because it is a weird thing. Like, it's a gun. And to comfortable with a gun is like a different level of comfortability as opposed to, picking anything else up. So
regular people were not taught to, by nature, be, like seamless with guns. So I'm sure there's something to make it more authentic that way. Jake, I'm going to stay with you here. You and Bella are obviously tons of time on screen together. What was sort of your relationship with her off screen? Because it seemed you guys needed to build that connection and a chemistry together. What sort of things did you guys do together to kind of build that connection where it came off on screen?
Yeah, I mean, Bella and I are great friends. She's a total bro, and we were able to just hang out and shoot the shit, and same with Josh too. Like, all three of us would hang out and go for dinner or grab a drink. So it was just easy. It was like, day one, we were already just like in sync and ready. She's super easy to get along with and fun. And I'm so happy that I met her and got to work with her. And we just, it was good chemistry right from the beginning.
we're in Oklahoma shooting on location. And so,
Mm.
I don't know anybody in Oklahoma. And so, and so you end up spending that time together, and it's the act of getting to know somebody and the familiarity and the comfortability. And, and again, it was natural. I mean, from day one, they
Mm-hmm.
just slid right into the role, and very easy for them. And, and you see that, I think you see that on screen, the chemistry that they have.
Oh yeah.
But it's something that grows over time. You're spending time together on location. You're not shooting in LA where at the end of the day you go back to your house and that's it. It's like,
Yeah, that would have worked against us.
Yeah.
In so many ways. It's like, being in the South, having that heat, having that ambience of like, that just being in the South added so much to being lived in these characters and story. Like I think shooting it in LA just wouldn't have worked the same. Like
No, I think it shows too, because that isolation in a sense brings you together. When you don't have options to do, you got to come together to find things to do, or at least discuss, and you're forced to get to know each other instead of just like jumping on the phone or going online, which kind of leads me to the next question. And through observing this and how we are as a society and culture, we've become sort of obsessed in the last 5 years or so with social media and likes and followers. What's your personal individual take? And now, after being in the stay-at-home order, do you guys think this world will kind of change, and we're going to be more, once we get out of it, more susceptible to actually having to talk to people and not as focused on social media? Because it's almost felt to me, being in the industry, it's gotten out of control. Like Jake, you might know too, as going for auditions, casting directors ask you how many followers you have. That's like part of in a sense, your skill set for some way now, the way you're perceived. Both of your perspectives on that whole kind of culture and what it might be going forward. Let me start with you, Jake.
I mean, I wrestle with it. I do. I don't like when it's tied to or involved in this business, because I don't think it matters. Like, but I do understand from like a producer's side that it can be advantageous. So like I said, that's kind of why I got involved. Is I'm still trying to figure it out. I think it can be a tool that can be used for good. I think you have to use it responsibly, especially when you start to have a following. It really needs to be used responsibly, and a lot of people don't use it responsibly. And I think people have to be introspective and look at like, why are you using it? Are you using it to gain happiness? You're looking for something that's maybe not there? And I think that's why maybe the good thing about this stay-at-home order is people were kind of, forced to face themselves and face the challenges and demons per se that they have, and see what that's about, and explore that, and maybe realize that we don't need that. And I feel like through everything, people were a lot more in touch with people, like over Zoom or over Skype or over calls, because people weren't busy. So I mean, I like that part of it. I don't know where it's going to go. I think it will hit like a critical mass at some point, and it'll be like the next wave of something else. But yeah, I really don't know.
Josh, any final thoughts on that?
I think a few, maybe. I think America has a short memory. And I think that we tend to regress back into the things that make us feel comfortable, even if we know it's bad for us. And, the way I look at social media is, America is a very unique country. And I think in a lot of ways, it's a fantasy land. And there's a great book out there called Fantasyland that sort of delves into this and the way America has sort of gotten to the place that it's in. And a lot of it is like Americans are just as a whole predisposed to, the sort of cycle of affirmation, and these bubbles of belief, that you get into. And I don't know if that's going away. I think that if anything, in some ways it's going to get worse. Maybe some of it gets more marginalized again, but I don't think that social media is the utopia that we've all sort of hoped it would be. Yep. And as much as good things can come out of it, I think there's equally as bad things that can come out. And that's sort of the idea of the freedom of the internet, you know, and the internet has allowed a lot of things to thrive that might not normally. And I firmly believe, by the way, in relation to the movie, that if this happened in real life, we would all be following it. Like we would all follow that account, you know, and we would watch it, because I think, like, you've seen examples of it. You've seen, you know, when the entire world is sitting there waiting for a woman's plane to land to see if she's going to get fired for a tweet that she sent off.
Yep. This voyeuristic nature.
That's the movie. That's the world that this movie exists in, you know, and I think, like, you know, at the same time, like, the trouble with social media, very quickly, the trouble with social media is it's a quantitative value. It's not a qualitative value. So if somebody has 80 million followers, even if half of those are fake and half of the other half hate follow them, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter why you follow the person. The fact that you follow them gives that account value. And I think that's the thing about it, right? And that's kind of where this movie lives. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people that would hate follow Ariel, but it doesn't matter to her. You know, it's like, and that, I think, is the danger of social media, is to become about something that's qualitative as opposed to quantitative. And that leaves us where we are. So when you retweet something that you hate, even if you add the comment to it, you've already given value to the thing that you hate.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. I had fun watching this movie. I thought it was a thrill ride throughout, and I plucked out some messages, even how guns are, how easy it's to get them. You know, that's another thing to look at.
That's true. That's accurate, by the way, in Florida.
Unbelievable. But yeah, much continued luck. Jake, I'll be continuing to follow your work. I've been a big fan, and Joshua, can't wait to see what's next for you guys.
Thanks so much. Appreciate taking the time and watching the movie.
Yeah, enjoy your little stay-at-home vacations, you know.
We will.
Take care, guys.
Take care, Jim.
Later.
Bye.